Mikuhatsu says, quizzes la tumba del rey Kato son los amigos que hicimos en el camino.
Power on HDMI 2.
Carmaron says, it's the BS marking from the devs like they tried to GT us to 2x to get some stupid code. Rather than Reels content they do this crap. Why I hey move to FF14 online. Will Star says, what? Pantera 021 says, Tremenda asterisk 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 asterisk. Doc Art Hobo says, Carm.
Many have died because of this.
Matthews Levy says, Mikuhatsu said, Doc Art Hobo says, how about you stay in Final FNT Asti? Doc Art Hobo
Siri,
says,
define gaslighting for elected officials.
Gaslighting is when Maya Kornberg, she says she'll take up.
Volume 40.
Play a fund at New York.
Doc Art, Pantera 021 says, YK Paso Con Laws. Will Star says, oh the thing in the mail. Carmaron says, how
Miles
about you stuff if you
Morales
wasted
is
carbon?
Spider-Man,
I could care less at
with a
51
cool
what you
new
say or
sword
think.
power. Welcome to the Comic Story and Full Story channel, where we take full stories from Comic Story and
Carmaron
put them
says,
here to
think.
give you a better viewing experience. Today we're covering the first 19 issues of Cody Ziegler's
Doc Art
Miles
Hobo
Morales
says,
Spider-Man.
Will Star says, huh.
The issues of Cody Ziegler's Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Will Star says, Mikuhatsu says, oh. Doc Art Hobo says, yee. Zinnia says, Zinnia's party Burkani basement. Will Star says, good times, good times.
Lupius. Many have died because of this evil man.
Carmaron says, just block. Doc Art Hobo says, I remember the days, pounding away those cheeks. Doc Art Hobo says, huh what a wimp. Will Star says, don't block him, you're playing hard to get. Doc Art Hobo says, let him. Doc Art Hobo says, the Luminous 700 and
Run from 2022. In this story, we see Miles fight some classic Spider-Man villains, gain a new Venom Saber power, fight against carnage, and more. So sit back and enjoy Miles Morales Spider-Man. It's been a while since Miles took a step back to catch his breath from all of the recent stuff that has been going on in his life. There were clones, the Spider-Man Beyond Corporation, and not to mention Peter Parker going full weirdo. But even with all of that, there's hardly been a moment of rest. And the villains of New York surely hadn't taken a break. As a speeding armored truck barrels down the streets of Brooklyn, Scorpion swipes away police cars asking, "What's all the fuss about? Can't a guy make an armed withdrawal?" However, when the truck begins racing towards a young girl on the road, it's Miles Morales who swings in, giving Scorpion a kick to the face while swooping in to rescue the girl from being hit, telling her, "You know, you really should look both ways before crossing." After setting her down, he asks if she's good. She tells him yes, and he tells her that he loves to hear it. "Now I gotta go beat up Scorpion." Easy. He quickly jumps back into action, webbing up Scorpion, stating that the daylight robbery is pretty wild, even for him. And Scorpion says that he was gonna take a bus, but he was out of fare. So I figured, why not knock over a bank real quick? As Miles tries to lock him down, Scorpion lashes out with his tail, cracking Miles on the side of his head, and he manages to wrap it around Miles' neck. Scorpion says that he isn't the original Spider-Man, but killing you is going to be just as good. Plus, that suit looks better anyway. Ah, thanks. But there's something else you should know about me. Miles' fingers begin to spark up. Oh boy. And then Scorpion feels the full power of a venom blast surging through his entire body. As he hits the ground stunned, Miles says that he has one more trick up his sleeve. And he begins to web Scorpion head to toe, throwing him into the armored truck. As Scorpion lays there groaning, Miles hangs upside down, telling him that next time, he might want to just take the subway. But another voice chimes in, stating that he may want to rethink giving out live advice, because as far as she's concerned, he's about 3 seconds away from getting his butt hauled off for violating the Powers Act. Agent Gao holds out her PDNY badge as the other officers secure Scorpion, and she tells Miles that she's going to give him a friendly tip. He really doesn't want to mess with him. "Yeah, I've heard all about you guys. You crack skulls, push around folks looking after their own streets. Heard people who look like me get it the worst. About right?" Gao then asks, "At what cost?" Miles wants to know what does she even mean. She motions to the destruction that he caused with his battle with Scorpion. "Look at this! Destruction of private property, destruction of public property, destruction of municipal property. Your single act of vigilantism cost the city more than whatever money Scorpion would have gotten from the bank. Money that was insured, by the way. You did manage to save a girl's life, and that at least counts for something. But consider this your first and last warning, because there won't be a second one. Do you copy, Spider-Man?" Miles webs up, swinging away. Copy. Later over at Brooklyn Visions Academy, Miles' school, he sneaks into the boys' bathroom and Genki tosses him his civilian clothes, telling him that he didn't know it was possible for someone to be this late. One more party and the teacher's going to bury him. Miles begins to change, telling him to cut him some slack. He had to deal with Scorpion and some mean agent lady who yelled at him. Just say he got stuck in the bathroom stalling it or something. And as Miles takes off his mask, Genki says, "Well, not with a shiner like that." Moments later, in the class, the teacher then says that he wishes he could detail how bad this is, Mr. Morales. That he has heard this song a dozen times, so rather than making excuses, he would like to see him and Mr. Lee here on time. Both Miles and Genki lower their heads, apologize. And the teacher asks why does he think that he's better than his classmates. Miles insists that he isn't better than them, but the teacher would like to know why is it that he thinks he doesn't have to follow the same rules as everyone. Is it because he's here because he won the lottery? That because of that he gets a special privilege? Because he won the lottery getting into this school, someone else had to lose. He should be more grateful. A lot of kids would kill to be in his shoes and walk these halls. So sit down. Miles snaps back, asking, "What? I get condescended by you?" The teacher slams his book shut. "A few days of suspension will help you grow in your appreciation for this school. You can head to the office and inform them." Miles scoffs, grabbing his bag, and he steps out of the class as his phone pings him with a message from Tiana. She asks if they're good, and Miles tries to think of something to tell her about what he's going through, and he tells her, "Yeah, just going through some stuff. I'll hit you up later, just need a breather." As he leaves, he decides to take the long way home, swinging his way through the city when his phone begins to ring. He sighs that they're getting faster with this stuff, and as he answers, his mom and dad state that they're pretty sure that he knows why they're calling. Anything he wants to talk about. Miles tells him that there's been a lot going on lately, and it's like he's losing himself. Stuff that was easy before he can barely handle. The Spider-Man stuff, school, relationships. It's all like he's getting buried by everything, and he's just scrambling to stay afloat. He just wants to do good. He just wants to be good. But it's like he's getting pushed back from everywhere. Jeff and Rio tell him it's okay. He knew things weren't going to be easy, and that's why he has to lean on them to focus on the important things, that he needs to not rush. But don't misunderstand, he's still grounded when he gets home. He wipes his face, telling himself that it's all going to pass, and that's when he hears a buzz coming from the distance. When he reaches the source of the sound, he sees Bumbler breaking into a building, stating that he loves the upgrades. But I can't say the same about you breaking and entering. Bumbler spins back, firing his gun. That was a reflex! Please don't hold it against me! Miles dodges, telling him that it happens, and then he swings at both feet towards, knocking Bumbler into the building. You should be careful, because just because a bee is down, it doesn't mean it's out. Ultimate attack, honey punch! As Bumbler swings, he hits Miles, launching him across the warehouse, and Bumbler looks at his hands. Holy crap, she wasn't lying about these upgrades. Miles then begins to get back up, telling him, alright, I'm officially over this. And he begins punching Bumbler over and over, with each hit hitting harder and harder. With a bloody and bruised face, Bumbler begins to yell, You won, man! Just stop hitting me! And as Miles pulls back for another swing, he pauses, realizing that perhaps his anger is getting the best of him. So he webs up Bumbler, telling him that he's sorry, but he's got to run. His heart isn't in this right now. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the girl that Miles rescued is walking down the street, and an older homeless woman on the sidewalk calls out asking how was her day, Raneem. Raneem tells her, fantastic, Spider-Man saved her, how lucky was that? And the woman laughs. Is that why you're glowing? Raneem says that she has no idea. She walks into her store, locking the door. She walks to the back where there's a dozen monitors all set up, all with images of Miles, both in and out of costume. Raneem looks at them, stating that he should enjoy the time he has left, because those of them who were left behind are finally going to have their day in the sun, Miles Morales. The next morning, Miles begins his day of punishment by doing the laundry, and as he begins to fold his clothes, there's a tap on his window. He looks back to see Tiana outside, asking does he have anything to say after ducking her last night. Miles lets her in, telling her that it isn't like that he just got busy. And she tells him that a text would have been nice. He wants to know what's gotten into him lately. He's been so squirrely. He knows that he can talk to her. Miles says that he's just having a hard time is all. He's been feeling lost and doesn't know what to do. She tells him that she gets it, but he should try talking. Miles says that he's been thinking a lot about what happens if someone close to him gets hurt or something. Him and Tiana can handle themselves, but Genki is different, you know? Tiana begins to climb back out of the window, telling him, got it. You're having an existential crisis, and you think that absolves you from being a selfish jerk. Miles interrupts her, telling her that she's right. He has been a jerk for a little while. Just give him some time to collect his thoughts, and he'll let her up tonight. All right? She flies off, telling him, process how he processes. But she isn't the type to just sit around waiting for him. Miles sighs, falling back to his bed as she leaves, looking at the hole in his costume, beginning to wonder about Bumbler's most recent upgrades. He heads back out to where he fought Bumbler to see if he can get some clues, and as he sneaks in, he hears something rattle and quickly webs it up. Except as he attempts to web it, it's grabbed and he's pulled in as a voice tells him, is that so? He looks up to see Misty Knight, who tells him that she is trained with enough spider folk to see through web shooter tricks. You're the Brooklyn Spider-Man, right? I saw your name in the Beyond files. Miles tells her thanks, but not to be rude. But why are you here? She tells him that she's on the clock. But the quick of it is, a bunch of data centers have been hit, mostly stolen electronics and processors. Nothing big enough to get on people's radars, but enough for a private company to hire her and see what's up. So, is it your handiwork? Miles looks up from the wreckage of the previous fight, telling her that he did get into a fight with Bumbler. Bumbler's pretty harmless, but he got a serious upgrade, so maybe there's a connection. And since Misty's looking into it, Miles asks if maybe they should team up. The other Spider-Man can totally vouch for me. She sighs, telling him that he can tag along. It's only a temporary team. At that moment, Miles' phone rings with Genki and Tiana asking if everything's alright, and Misty asks if he's good. Miles ignores both of them and says that he'll deal with it later. So, with that, Misty Knight and Miles begin their detective work. But barely an hour passes before Miles is so bored. At that moment, the thieves actually arrive, so the two of them spring into action. However, no sooner do they follow the crooks to start the battle than they find the crooks already having been taken out. Misty looks at one of the men stating that whatever happened, it happened quick, Spider-Man. It ain't quiet. Poor guy still has his safety. She looks at another one and realizes that the stab wounds look a little familiar. But at that moment, Spider-Man's spider sense goes off, and Scorpion rushes in, knocking the two of them down. This is gonna go a lot more different this time, punk! Scorpion stands up, stating that he should thank him before he kills him. Because of our fight, I got some nice new upgrades, free of charge. The little birdie told me all I had to do was put you down. As the two of them get up, they're knocked back down, and Miles asks if they should call for backup, with Misty telling him that they are the backup. And while Miles and Misty deal with a superpowered Scorpion elsewhere, Tiana is sitting on a roof awaiting a text from Miles. As she gets ready to leave, there's a ping from him stating, "Today was crazy." Tiana says no problem, meet at the usual spot, and Miles responded with, "Turn around." She laughs, stating that he's really trying his luck, but then a female's voice tells him, "Luck's got nothing to do with it. I'm just simply here to take what is owed." Raneem flies in on a disc-like drone with several more following close behind. Raneem then uses the drones as steps to launch her attacks, as Tiana says that she doesn't know what robot circus Raneem flunked out of, but she can't wait to beat the answer out of her. Tiana quickly begins to gain the upper hand, but as the woman is thrown off balance, she activates a device on her wrist, and as Tiana goes to fly in, her wings suddenly stop responding. Tiana comes crashing down onto the ground, with Raneem jumping down, stating that she shouldn't underestimate her. She's about to make every single one of them know it as well. Later, Raneem begins to explain her upbringing and her reason for hating Miles so much. You see, her parents were immigrants that traveled to the States in search of the American dream. They were simply people with a simple life, but eventually she was added to them. At a young age, she had shown that she had a certain talent for when it came to electronics. Her parents worked hard to provide, and she had to take care of the world. Life was good. Until it wasn't. Her mother had gotten sick, and even going to the doctors, there was nothing that they could do. After that, her father was never the same. He pretended. The light in his eyes was gone. She did what she could to help out in the shop, but it wasn't enough. And then one day, her father said that she should put her gifts to a good use and apply for Brooklyn Visions. She planned it all out. She could be chosen and could be recognized for all of her hard work, for all of the hard work that her parents did, but like many things in life, it wasn't fair. And her entire life was reduced to a bet that she'd lost. Her entire future was decided on a lottery, a damn gamble. And you know who won? Who took what was hers? Miles Morales. Tiana Scott stated that she had a messed up childhood. My condolences, welcome to the club. Trauma doesn't give you a license to inflict it on others. Raneem turns back, stating that she's not naive enough to think that she is the only person who had it tough. She's just one of the few that is brave enough to fix it. Her future was taken from her, and she will set it right. Meanwhile, back with Miles and Misty, Scorpion is swinging his tail. Last time you got lucky, but I'm a brand new man now. Misty then says that the next lesson in detective work is to always keep them talking. These dudes love to spill the beans, Miles. Miles told her that the other Spidey says that too. Scorpion spins around using his tail to launch Misty across the warehouse, but as she gets up, she notices something that may have been left behind in the last fight. Miles does what he can to keep Scorpion away, until Misty opens fire with the Bumbler's gun that he left there. And then with a combined effort of Miles and Misty, they take out Scorpion. Gao then shows up, looking over at Miles, stating that he doesn't remember what she told him last time, does he? Miles looks at her. You're not going to believe this, but I'm actually with Misty. Well, not with her, I'm working with her. So then Misty and Gao begin to argue over whether or not Miles should be involved, what's actually detective work, and what Misty has jurisdiction over. But eventually it ends with Misty threatening to call the mayor, so Gao backs off. He eventually gets a call from Genki, and he heads over to where Genki's located, but as he arrives at the location, something feels off. And that's when his spider sense begins to blare. Miles barely jumps out of the way, avoiding one of Raneem's flying discs, slamming into the wall, only to get struck by the others. He's flung over to the next building, and Raneem says that he isn't looking good, trying to bring him back to his feet. Miles shouts at her, asking where's Genki, but the discs continue to knock him over. After being pinned to the ground, Miles looks up to see Raneem there, and he asks, "Who are you?" She tells him that she's the one that was left behind, the discarded accumulation of her parents' wildest hopes and dreams. She is the one lost among the scramble, another body lost to the rabble. Radim then calls out that this is going to be Miles' reckoning. And Miles demands to know how she knows his real name. She tells him that she knows a lot about him, like he's the first child of Jeff Davis and Rio Morales, the Spider-Man and Brooklyn Vision Academy's most mediocre student. She slashes with a blade of electricity, nearly missing Miles' head. Miles quickly tries to retaliate by webbing her up, but the discs whirl around, deflecting the webs, allowing Radim to slip and cut Miles in the chest. She stands back up. You coasted for too long, taking the spotlight, accolades, and opportunities, while the ones displaced were left with scraps. What are you talking about? Miles shouts, but Radim tells him the lottery, his placement at the academy, the advancements that granted him and his family the chance that he was given. It should have been given to someone who actually needed it. It's not my fault I won this stupid thing. I didn't even ask for it. I can't control an act of randomness. And Radim tells him that he doesn't seem to have a problem enjoying the benefits of it. Genki was right to be upset with him. Tiana, too, surprised they even answered when she duped his number. Jeff and Rio must be proud of what a great influence you are on Billy. I'll be sure to ask them. Miles leaps off the ground shouting, "You're going to leave my friends and family out of this!" As Miles throws himself into Radim, she redirects the weight, spinning him around, letting one of the discs knock him off, giving her the chance to strike him with a kick to the head. He coughs, asking who is she, so she tells him her name. But for now, he can call her the Envoy of Death. She attacks again, but this time with the assistance of one of the discs, causing a massive explosion that launches Miles' body off the ledge and into the river below. She waits, and he doesn't surface. And she tells Miles that this is goodbye. Later, Miles begins to open up his eyes as he sees an arm reaching into the water, grabbing him. Misty Knight pulls him up, cracking a joke that she only left him alone for 15 minutes, and he almost died. Before he could respond, he coughs up water. And Miles begins to pick out what exactly is going on, realizing that Radim has his home address. He panics as Misty tells him that he shouldn't go rushing off into something without knowing who the person is or what she's planning. Him whipping headfirst into danger isn't going to get him anything but death. It is going to cause a lot of folks grief. Misty reveals that at one point she got her hands on one of Ranim's discs and that they can use it to track Radim back to her source of origin. But Miles says that he has to go check on his home first. So he flings off, going back to his house, while Misty begins to follow the disc. She eventually gets to the location that Tiana is being held captive, and as Misty frees her, a mechanical tail from Scorpion comes to life, flinging at her. Meanwhile, across town, Miles hops over another building, noticing smoke coming out of where his apartment is, and he begins to panic, rushing over. As he gets street level, he looks up at the destroyed building and simply says, "Oh God." Radim says that she's glad that he made it out alive. He's back just in time so that she can show him the end of the Morales family in person. Miles begins to get closer to the wreckage of the apartment, asking what did she do. And she tells him that she came to settle part of his debt, and now she'll collect the rest. She attempts to open with an attack, but Miles is furious, webbing up her discs, jumping into the fire in search of his family. Rio calls out, and he punches his way through, seeing his parents and Billy huddled in the corner just out of range of the Inferno. Miles begins to apologize, but Jeff tells him that this isn't on him. And then Miles grabs everyone, launching them into the street. Before Miles can even get his bearings, though, Rio shouts for him to look up, and a disc shoots by, knocking Miles into the air. He begins to fight with the disc. "Can I get 5 seconds to myself?" And Radim yells no. He doesn't get to save the day. He took her family, and now she's going to take his. Suddenly, the discs begin to stop focusing on Miles, and they turn their attention to his parents, Jeff and Rio. He screams at her to attack him, and as he swings, he creates an electrical sword of his own. Radim asks, how is he doing that? And Miles says, I don't really know, but this new power is going to prevent you from hurting anybody. The two begin to fight for power, with Miles pushing himself back, cutting away at the discs, and then into Radim. She tells him that this isn't right, and Radim backs away, yelling for him to just shut up. She rockers herself at Miles, telling him that he doesn't know anything about her, but what she's gone through, what her limits are, nothing. Miles tells her maybe not, but he doesn't think that she's a bad person. So stop and listen for a moment. They bounce off the ground with Miles picking himself up, telling her that he's sorry for everything that happened to her, truly. But it was all outside of his control. But he's still sorry. It shouldn't have been like that. He was given a chance while hers was taken away, and it wasn't fair. She has to stop this. Radim tells him that he doesn't know what it's like. For two people to sacrifice so much, to work so hard, to give her a better life. She just wanted to return the favor. She wanted to be a good daughter. Miles says that she's right. He doesn't understand, and he never will. But what he does know is that his family isn't to blame. So don't take it out on them. Take it out on him. He won't fight you. But leave them alone. Raneem starts to freak out. No. This isn't fair. You still get to decide? You still get a shot at redemption? You still get to take the high road and give me your pity? I can't let this happen. I'm never going to stop coming for you or your family or your friends. I will be the thing that keeps you up at night. And if you want to stop me, you're going to have to see this through. The discs all begin to light up, and Miles asks, what is she doing? But Raneem jumps on them, stating, we're going to call it even, a simple trade, a mother for a mother, a father for a father. What do you say? Does that sound fair to you? She goes into strike, activating her Pyrrhic protocol. Miles tells her to stop. He won't let her do this. And she declares they're just going to go out together then. The discs all have a chance to fully charge up, and Miles slams his new sword into them, telling her that he just needs to overload the machine. With that, there's a massive explosion that throws Miles to the ground. Jeff and Rio run over to help just as Misty and the others arrive, asking if Rabble just blew herself up. Miles yells that he tried to stop her. He tried to talk her out of it. He couldn't. He wasn't good enough. He begins to close his eyes as Rio shouts for him to stay awake. Miles says he just wants to rest his eyes. Everything goes to black. And Miles wants to know why his face feels cold. He starts to blink and he sees Misty and another woman that he doesn't know. He panics about his mask, but Misty tells him to relax. He doesn't have to worry about that stuff. The next time that he blinks, he wakes up in a hospital room, seeing his parents, Jeff and Rio, by his side. He hugs them both, and Missy walks in, telling him that she's sorry to interrupt. She needed to check on her favorite pain-in-the-butt detective in training. Rio tells her that she did them a real solid on this one, and Misty says that it's all good. He's a good kid. Besides, can't have her intern banged up and out of the home. Miles thanks Misty, and Misty declares that Jeff and Rio raised one hell of a son. He's got a new shot. He might actually become a detective now. Elsewhere, Agent Gao walks through her holding block and stops at a cell, telling the inmate that they wanted her attention. They've got it. Their disappearing actor's cute enough to warrant some internal discussions. So she's bringing them an offer to finally put those skills to good use. Scorpion laughs. That's the thing about me. I'm always interested in new job opportunities. A few cop cars gather around the corner diner, with the sergeant on the scene quickly calling in for backup. I don't give a crap about the traffic. That's what sirens are for. We've got Cletus Cassidy in there. Send every team you've got, she says into her radio. Someone looks up into the sky and shouts as Spider-Man swings down, landing on the roof. But Miles has faced Cletus before. Memories of when he was overtaken by the Madman during the Absolute Carnage event fill his mind. Better go in dark. Give myself a fighting chance. He thinks to himself as he goes invisible. His camouflage hopefully protecting him from a surprise attack. He begins to sneak through the halls of the building, unaware of the twisting walls behind him that show Carnage's face. Outside, a SWAT van screeches to a halt in front of the diner, and Agent Gao gets out. She motions to her men, who are packing extremely heavy firepower. I want everyone looking the part out there, guys. Slick, professional, and above all, lethal. She calls to her men as she takes charge of the scene, ordering Sergeant Ahmed to push her people back as the hulking villain steps out of the van. Inside, Miles is sneaking through the shadows into the diner, but he stops suddenly as the lights come on and he sees several people sitting and eating. The cook looks up in annoyance. Trying to run a business here. Would you mind getting your paw prints off my ceiling? He growls. Miles drops to the floor, confused to what is going on. But he is called over to the corner, where a bespectacled man sits. I hope you don't mind. I took the liberty of ordering. I'm Ken, the man says, and he motions to Miles to sit. Hey, Ken, you mind telling me what's going on here? Miles asks, sitting down, pushing away the plate of French toast that he is offering him. I'm afraid Mr. Cassidy didn't share the particulars of his plan with me, Ken tells him. But Miles can't sense Cassidy getting out of the booth behind him. Cassidy's jaw elongates as he opens his vicious mouth wide. You smell different than the other bug. That's tragic. Let's see what we can do to fix that. Cassidy suddenly growls as he lunges forward, biting into Miles' shoulder. Miles screams as he feels the jagged teeth biting deep into his flesh. Meanwhile, outside, Gao turns to the villain as he gets out of the van. Are you ready to go to work, Scorpion? Yeah. I want your Team 6, Agent Gao. But I'm telling you, I mean for one reason and one reason only. And that's to put an end to Cletus Cassidy. Back inside, Miles shoots a web into Carnage's face, grabbing a hold of him, throwing him over his shoulder. Carnage snarls, ripping the webbing clear. We're raising a bomb, Miles! Didn't anybody ever tell you that it's rude to come between a man and his man? Miles tries to leap away, but Carnage's tendrils lash out, slamming him through a wall. Miles is shocked as he looks up at Carnage's new suit, which basically looks like he threw up all over Iron Man. Struggling to his feet, Miles turns his head as a cook tries to get his attention. Bro, you gotta help! My name's Dominic! The cook hisses. Miles moves quickly, grabbing Dominic, pulling the man to safety. Meanwhile, in the diner, Ken motions to the hole in the wall. You're not letting him leave, are you? Is that a part of the plan? And Cletus just smiles. I'm not letting him leave. I'm baiting the hook. Cletus tells him as he turns his head, sensing Agent Gallows' team entering the building. I do believe another course has arrived, Cletus says as he licks his lips. The team pushes through the entryway, weapons up and ready, but someone is whispering to them from all around. He's here! The point then shouts as Cletus seemingly springs off of the walls, his symbiote growing around them. It pulls away their weapons, stabbing and slashing across them. The team tries to hit him with sonic weapons, but it just pushes Cletus back. Gunfire continues to erupt from the team as Scorpion comes rushing in. Hiya, Mac! Good to see you back on your feet, pal! Cletus says with a smile, and Mac tries to hit him with his tail, but Cletus appears behind him, slashing him across the face. No hard feelings about our last tussle, right? Don't they say that forgiving is divine? Cletus asks, and Mac roars in anger, his tail lashing around until he realizes that he's all alone. He looks up to see Ken sitting in a nearby chair, watching the fight. Huh? Thought Cassidy didn't leave any survivors, Mac says. But Ken explains that he isn't a survivor, that he was once a serial killer that believed himself to be an artiste. But he realized that Cletus was the true artist. He's about to paint his masterpiece, Mr. Garvin. I'd urge you to run, but he's already here. Ken says, drawing Mac's attention as Carnage is sneaking up behind him. Meanwhile, Miles is leading Dominic to the roof. In the floor beneath him, he hears the gunfire, and Mac's eventual screams in pain. They continue to move forward with Miles kicking in the door to the roof. Come on, we gotta go this way! He leads Dominic to the edge, blood still dripping from his wounded shoulder, and he tells Dominic that they're going to have to jump to the next room. Trust me, Miles says, holding out his hand, which Dominic reaches for. But Dominic's hand suddenly twists into the Carnage symbiote. If you insist, he says with a smile, slamming Miles into the ground. Miles struggles up in shock. Cassidy! He gasps as Dominic shifts into the red-headed psychopath. Miles shoots his webs, dragging Cassidy to the ground, but another has appeared, slashing him across the back. Hey, Miles, you ever feel like you're out of your depth? He says with glee, but Miles refuses to give up, trying to punch out. But Carnage catches the blow, opening his mouth wide to finish off Miles. Peter, I'm sorry, I tried. Miles thinks to himself, knowing that he has reached his end, but Scorpion is there, slamming Cletus away with his tail. Get off of him, you freak! Max snarls, and he turns, helping Miles up. You did real good, but you gotta tap out now. Mac tells him, and Miles is simply confused. Why are you helping me? He asks, and Max smiles. Honestly, I wasn't planning on it. I thought you were the other Spider-Man. But he suddenly gasps as blood begins to spill out of his mouth as Carnage's tendrils stab through his stomach. Carnage lifts him into the air, more tendrils stabbing through him. Good. I'm sorry. It's all on you. Scorpion gasps as Miles struggles up, electrical energy crackling in his hand. You don't know when to quit, do ya? Carnage asks with glee, but Miles leaps forward, slamming his Venom Strike into the power core in Carnage's center. Sparks begin to fly as Carnage screams in pain, dropping Scorpion. What have you done, kid? I'm gonna get you for this! Really, you good and slow! He bellows, and on the streets below, everyone looks up as the building suddenly explodes outward. Everything tumbles around them as Miles and Mac drop to the ground. The building is crumbling, covering them in debris. After a few moments, Miles looks up. Is everyone okay? Are we good? He asks Scorpion, and Mac growls at him, explaining that there isn't a web, and they aren't working together. He looks up as the debris begins to shift around him. Wait, what's that sound? he asks, and Miles rushes forward, pushing Scorpion away, catching the building as it continues to fall apart. He gasps, trying to hold it up. Scorpion, my guy! Don't think I can hold it entire building forever! Open to your pitches right about now! Miles yells as more debris begins to push down on them. The ground begins to fill up with water. Alright, I got an idea, Scorpion says, swishing his tail back and forth. The tail then lashes out, grabbing Miles, pulling him free of the debris before it can squash him. Thanks, man. Get me going there for a minute. Miles tells Mac that they need some help on this one, and the two begin to pick their way through the destroyed building, arguing over what they should do. They eventually come across an EMT who's trapped beneath the rubble, but Mac moves, stopping Miles. Are you stupid or something? Cassidy already got us with one symbiote switcheroo. I'm not taking no chances on that being another Cletus freak club. But Miles stands in the way, insisting that they need to help everyone that they can. Meanwhile, topside, Agent Gao is staring at the massive crater that was created by the building exploding. She sighs, knowing that they can't allow Carnage to escape and continue to kill. She rubs the bridge of her nose. Every second that we waste is another potential body that Cassidy catches, she says, and reaches for her phone, tapping a button. Send them in. Back in the crater, Mac finally agreed to not killing the woman. With the growl, he turns, continuing to go through the rubble. The woman thanks Spider-Man for saving her, and they get back to work trying to dig it out. They find another survivor, this one a member of Agent Gao's team, and Max steps forward to attack the person again, but Miles again holds up his hands. Dude, we've been over this! Mac quickly agrees this time, and the trio continue to help getting the debris off of the agent. Water is pouring steadily down on them now, with Miles aware that they are going to be completely submerged soon. He glances around, finding a massive sewer main. Alright, I got our way out of here. He insists on Mac breaking the water main, filling it up with even more water so that they can use the pressure to get them out of the crater faster with it. You got some stones, kid, I'll give you that, Mac shouts, and they all shoot up into the air using the rush of water from the sewer main to rapidly fill the space, and they all land in the streets above. Agent Gao moves forward, quickly ordering the police to arrest Spider-Man. Oh, come on, man! Miles snaps as electric cuffs are slapped on him. How many times do I gotta save the day before you're gonna give me a break? He asks, and he turns to Mac, hoping the criminals stick up for him. Actually, man, I think we could use this runt. He did good back there. Building going boom wasn't on account of him. It was all Cassidy, Mac tells her. Meanwhile, the EMTs are trying to take a look at Agent Scott, the other survivor, but the agent suddenly transforms before their eyes. Bacon's back on the menu, boys! Carnage snarls as he rushes to finish off the captured Miles. Cassidy can duplicate himself now? Agent Gao asks in surprise. Miles rushes forward, breaking out of his own cuffs. It's more like he can possess folks, Miles shouts, and as he's about to fight with Carnage again, a blast of energy and arrows hit the symbiote, dropping it to the ground. Miles is confused, looking back at the newest members of the Agent Gao's team. Sorry, where are our manners? Let me introduce New York's newest anti-vigilante task force, the Cape Killers. Taskmaster tells him, motioning to his team of Electro and Hightail. Hiya, kid. Long time no stab. The team then quickly moves forward, defeating the symbiote, dropping it to the ground. Agent Gao turns to her team, explaining what Miles said about Cassidy taking over various individuals and creating possessed clones. She ends it with explaining that that's why Spider-Man is going to be joining them. Miles tries to argue, but Gao looks at him. Here's your options, kid. My Cape Killers can cart you off to jail, or you can be their little symbiote whisperer, and I'll consider it time served. Now, where is Cassidy hiding? But far below the city, in the symbiote hive known as the Spire, Cassidy is sitting upon a throne looking at Kenneth. What's the point of that stunt? A little sleight of hand. Spider-Man couldn't help but come to the rescue, and while he was distracted, we were able to slip away, unpursued. To do what? Hide the Gargoons? No. Spider-Man is going to pay. But first, whatever he did was messing with my suit. I gotta sort it out. When I do, this whole town's gonna remember what it's like to have Carnage's claws at its throat. Back in Manhattan, Cletus finishes with his upgrades, deciding to stretch his wings as he flies over the city, telling them, I'm starting to feel like my old self again. The more you make me bleed, the badder I become. While Miles and Scorpion get back towards the ground, Taskmaster and Electro take their shot as Taskmaster lets loose 3 explosive arrows that try to give the other 2 some cover. Cletus turns his attention to them, telling them, that was pretty cute that you'd think that would work. Taskmaster asks Electro if she can pick up some speed, and she tells him sure. Just gotta let go of some dead weight. And she lets go of Taskmaster. After dropping him, she flies towards Miles, telling him that Gao told her that they have similar electric powers. Miles tries to argue against using it with her, but she finally convinces him, so he funnels his Venom Blast into Elektra to charge her up, and then she turns, releasing it into one giant blast. The shot hits Cletus dead on as everyone waits to see if it was effective, and then they see Cletus peering through the smoke. If you wanted my attention, you sure as heck have it now! Suddenly, red tendrils shoot out, flashing and cutting into Miles and Electro, splitting them apart and flinging them across the city. Hytale catches Electro, while Taskmaster stands up. That's what you get for dropping me. But now it's time to see if this little rocket that I stole from the dusty old Stark building can help. With Cletus' back turned, Taskmaster fires the RPG, not even knowing what he's firing because he just picked up a random weapon. And Cletus turns back, swatting it away. Shooting a guy in the back is low. Even for you, Taskmaster. That's why I prefer to stab him. The rocket then ricochets, flying into a nearby building, and people begin to scream for help as Hytale pushes Taskmaster out of the way, telling him, "You just brought down the whole building!" Miles swings in to help with what he can, but Hytale runs up to him. I talk fast, so listen. I toss, you catch. Do it. People are then being tossed out of the building as Miles creates webbing all over to catch the survivors. Once they're done, Miles takes a deep breath, laughing. Wow. Okay, Usain Bolt, I see you. And Hytale says, this does not make us friends. And that's when Miles, Hytale, and Scorpion attempt to do what they can. But with every inch that they make against Carnage, Cletus takes a mile. He begins laughing. The taste is part of the fun. Hell, it's all of the fun. He whips a tail at Hytale, but Miles jumps in the way, taking the hit, asking if she's okay. Cletus tells him, I wouldn't be worried about her, kid. At that moment, something pops up on Gao's radars, and a voice comes over the comms. No one to eavesdrop. My ears just wouldn't stop burning. Tony Stark flies in with his Iron Man suit, firing a sonic disruptor to keep Cletus away, looking down. Hey, Spidey, looks like you got yourselves a little Carnage problem. Once everyone is clear, Tony turns his focus back to Cletus, and his attitude changes from playful to serious. I had a long time to prepare for this after you ran off with my tech. You steal the Extreme Biote, and you turn it into this monstrosity? Who better to slay the evil dragon than a knight in titanium armor? He jumps in with an electric spear, stabbing Cletus in the mouth, allowing his suit the time to start transferring power. He then tells everyone to clear the way. He wants Cassidy to feel this! And as soon as he finishes charging, he releases all of that stored energy straight into Cletus. As the smoke clears, everyone can see the smoldering remains of what Cletus was. Miles asks, did we win? Hytale tells him to just take the win. At that moment, there's a loud clang as Tony slams on the ground behind him. Miles asks if he's okay, and Tony explains he needs a little of that zappy trick from the Venom to get him back up and moving. With that, Miles shocks the suit, telling him that it's pretty much the last that he has. But Tony tells him, you keep this up, you might make my top 5 Spider People list. Wait, do you really have 5 of... At that moment, Miles' words fade. Everyone looks back to see the red tendrils stabbing and piercing Miles. Cletus tells him, you have got to learn to stop turning your back on me. But for now, I'm done with the small fry. I need something bigger to sink my teeth into. I need to spread this thing far and wide. I need to spread real carnage. As Cletus begins to fly off, Miles coughs. That was stupid of me, so stupid. I should have never let my guard down. Tony grabs him. Stay with me, kid. We can't have you dying that easily. Hytale runs over, asking if they can fix this. Tony tells them that they have good news.